Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing factorizing by grouping in pairs. So here we have an algebraic expression and we need to identify how many terms we have in the expression. So we've got two terms separated by the minus. So we look at each term and you ask yourself first, what is my common factor in each term? And in this case, it is x plus y. So we take out our common factor of x plus y. Then you look at your first term and you're going to look at what is left. And here you can see that it's m. So it's going to be m. What is left in my second term? And it's minus n. So we factorize, we've got x plus y, m minus m. Let's have a look at another example. Number 2, we have 5p, 3a minus 4b minus, and here we have 3a minus 4b. So we identify how many terms do you have in the expression. So here we have two terms separated by the negative, and we look at each one and we're going to look for our common factor, and our common factor here is 3a minus 4b. So in my first term, I'm left with 5p. And in my second term, there is no number here, but if there's no number, we know that it stands for 1. So when we write it out, it is going to be minus 1. Let's look at another example. Here we have 2x, y minus 4 plus 5, 2xy minus for this 5a here, 2xy minus 4. Okay, we have two factors again, two terms, and separated by a plus sign, and in each term we're going to look for a common factor. Now take note that in the first term we don't have a number here, so we can just put a 1 so that it doesn't confuse you when you write it out. So our common factor is 2x, y minus 4, and we are left with 1 in our first term plus 5a. But if you look at your first bracket, you would see that there's a common factor here of 2. So you'd need to take out your common factor. So my common factor that I will remove from this bracket is a 2. And I'll be left with x, y minus 2. And then we've got 1 plus 5a. Okay, let's look at another example. Number 4. We have 2p x minus y minus 3q y minus x. Now, this is slightly more complicated. We call this change of sign, because what I want you to take note of here is that we have a positive x, and here we have a negative x. There we have a positive y, and here a negative y, and here we have a positive x. So if I had b minus a, and I wanted to make a positive, I would have to take out a negative. We call this change of sign. So a negative times what would give me a negative there? It would be a positive a. A negative times what would give me a positive? It would be a negative b. So in order to get them identical as in x minus y, y minus x, we would need to take out a negative. So let's have a look at how we're going to do that. 2p x minus y. And if we remove a negative from this bracket and we bring the negative out, this would become a negative times a negative would give me a positive. Just want to remove that because I've made a little marking on it. So if you took out that negative, a negative times a negative would give you a positive. So this would become plus 3q. And in your brackets, that negative now is a positive, and the positive there is a negative. Okay, so now we have your like terms of x minus, we can take it a common factor of x minus y. So here we're going to have x minus y, and left in my first term, I'm going to have 2p plus in the second term, it would be 3q. Okay, so let's try another one. Number 5. Okay, let's have a look at number 5. Okay, number 5 is mn, m minus n, m minus n minus p n minus pm. So if we look at our second bracket, we'll see that we have a common factor there of p. So we would first need to take out our common factor, because as we're looking at it, we can see that we don't have identical brackets here. So we're taking out the p, so that's going to be minus p, and we're going to get left with n minus m. Now this is the same situation as above. The m here is positive, but there it's negative. The n is negative, and here it's positive. So we would need to do a change of sign by removing a negative. So we have m minus n, and if you take out the negative, a negative and a negative will give you a positive p, and your m would become positive, and your n would become negative. So my common factor here is m minus n. And what am I left with? In the first term, I would be left with a 1 here. So this would be 1 plus p. 1 plus p. Let's look at the next one, number 6. So as we go further down, they get harder and harder. So you slowly progress. AB plus CB plus AD plus CD. So in the first two terms, we can see a common factor of B. And in the second two terms, we can see a common factor of D. So here altogether we have 4 terms. So we're going to look at the first 2 terms and take out a common factor of B. And we will be left with A plus C. And in the last two terms, we can see a common factor of D. So we're going to take out the D, and you will get left with A plus C. Now if you look at this again, we now have 2 terms here, and we can clearly see the common factor there, which is A plus C. Sometimes you have to rearrange your terms to get identical factors, but in this case it's just straightforward. So my common factor here is A plus C, and I'm left with B plus D. Okay, let's look at another example, number 7. Right, number 7, we have x plus y all squared minus x plus y. So you could expand, so you could possibly expand if you cannot see this, or you could just take out your common factor immediately if you see it. So if I'm going to expand, I'm going to basically go x plus y minus x plus y. So if you have a look at this, you will see that there are 2 terms here. You've got your 1, 2 terms. Now, in each term, you will see that there is an x plus y. So we're going to take out our common factor of x plus y. And in my first term, I'll be left with 1 set of x plus y's. I've taken out the 1, there's 1 left, minus the 1 here. So that's going to be minus 1. And that would be your answer. Just going to write the bracket closer. Okay, let's look at another example, the last one we're going to do. Okay, number 8. Number 8, we have 2a cubed minus 3a squared minus 6a plus 9. Okay, let's have a look at our common factor. So we've got, in a situation like this, you've got to look at it and see, or maybe do I need to rearrange it, or things like that. So I'm going to look at it and look at the first 2 terms. Okay, so in the first 2 terms, I've got a cubed here and a squared. So my common factor here would be a squared. So we're going to test to see if this works first. And I'll be left with 2a minus 3. Okay, so I've taken out a common factor of a squared. Looking at the next 2 terms, I've got 6a and 9. So my common factor here would be 3. I'll take out 3, so it's going to be minus 3. So 3 times what would give me my negative 6a there? So negative 3 times what would give me negative 6a? It would be positive 2a. Negative 3 times what would give me positive 9? It would be negative 3. And here I end up with a common factor of 2a minus 3. So I'm going to take out my common factor of 2a minus 3, and I'll be left with a squared minus 3. If it was, for example, a squared minus 4, I would have to continue factorizing, but in this case, it works out perfectly. I hope you found this video quite useful. Please like and subscribe, and follow me in my next video.